Alrighty, okay, so my speech is going to extend what the claims that my partner has said about innovation, principal rights, and benefiting our children's future, as well as responding to my opponent. So on innovation, Common Core forces teachers to teach and follow standards made by the federal government, dumping away the years of experience and disrupting the connections built between teachers and students. My opponent claims that teachers will be trained and educated of the standards, thus improving quality and effectiveness. I have a quote by Matt Kipe. He's the president of the Freedom Works from U.S. News. He states that since school funding is tied to success in testing, good teachers are handicapped from using their skills to their best advantage. Instead of bringing their years of experience to engage students on a personal level, pressure to produce measurable results will turn teachers into little more than automatons, frantically teaching to the test under the threat of losing their own jobs if the required courses do not materialize. Every student is unique and diverse. Teachers understand this and they adjust their methods and tailor each individual student. The freedom and creativity necessary to inspire students and get them thinking for themselves as unique individuals is lost in a ruthless quest for conformity. In addition, my opponent claims that adopting a new educational system in itself is actually innovative. Adopting a new form that forces students to follow certain standards and enforces the idea that this is what you need to know in order to be successful does hurt their innovation. I have another evidence from Matt Kipe that states that attempts to standardize something like education are by their very nature doomed to fail because every child's mind is unique. Different students learn in different ways at different paces, and forcing adherence to inflexible, one-size-fits-all standards can only result in harm in the long run. Now, as you can see, adopting the standard is clearly not innovative at all. It only destroys it. Moving on to the principal rights. Adopting Common Core has eradicated the rights of parents and states itself. My opponent states that the education is vital to students and not the parents. Yes, education is vital to students, but parents have a great influence on their child's education. Parents have the authority to transfer their child to a different school, but Common Core disrupts this right by standardizing the schools, making it impossible to find a school suitable for their child's needs because every school is the same. In a nation that recognizes that all children are different and learn differently, such notions that all should learn the same things and have the same education violate the dignity of individuals and the freedoms on which this nation was built. My opponent next claims that since the government feels so strongly about the potential benefits of this system, then that we should trust it. Now, I have a quote from Mike McShane. He's a researcher in education policy at the American Enterprise Institute. He states that the standards themselves were adopted in a mad dash for federal cash. They were announced on June 2nd, 2010, and within only 2 months, 28 states had adopted them. Kentucky actually adopted the standards before they were even released. You would think that the states would need a little bit more time than 2 months to make sure that everyone agrees with the content of the standards and that they had a reasonable plan to implement them. Now, the reason why they adopted it so soon was because of the Race to the Top Fund. This fund was created by the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009 and totals $4.35 billion, and it offers competitive grants to all 50 states. Now, it said that there's a total of 500 points that each state can get, and they said if you adopt Common Core, then you'll get 40 points. This proves that the state's only incentive was to gain federal funds. So my opponent claims that if it's mandated after 13 years, then it's clearly an effective system. It's proven that this system is going to fail. Why not take it down now and waste 13 years of a child's precious education? There are also states out there that are already trying to change and they're trying to get rid of this Common Core. I have from Ali Bidwell. She's an education and science reporter for the U.S. News and World Report. She states that Arizona, Florida, and Iowa have all renamed the standards as Arizona's College and Career Ready Standards. The Next Generation Sunshine State Standards and Iowa Core, respectively. Upon signing the executive order to change the name of Arizona Standards, Governor Jan Brewer said the move was reaffirming Arizona's right to set education policy. In addition, State Senator of Indiana, Scott Snyder, the author of Indiana's Law, states that Indiana has gone the furthest down this road, adopting a law that stops implementation of the standards entirely until further review. This voids Common Core, and we are starting the process of writing new standards. We are moving away from Common Core in order to protect Indiana's sovereignty and the student data. For benefits of the future, my opponent claims that we need to push our students in order to reach criticism from other countries, setting these unrealistic standards that not only crush students' motivation, but that of parents and teachers. My opponent claims that students will in time adjust to the system. According to Maria Nera, the New York State United Teachers Vice President, states that although New York State United Teachers supported the shift to Common Core instruction, it simply isn't fair to move so swiftly to test students on Common Core. It is becoming clear that the scores of these new assessments should not be used for high-stake decisions about students. These tests should not be considered a definitive summation of a student's ability, or for that matter, a teacher's effectiveness. According to Daniel Cortez, Harvard Graduate School of Education faculty member, education policy in the United States has long been dominated by the notion that the way to reform education is so set performance standards and establish a system of accountability. It hasn't been a very successful policy, but policymakers have stuck to the theme, varying the details but not the broad assumptions. Common Core is another iteration of that same cycle. So is the Common Core a bad idea? Absolutely. It is a federally coerced one-size-fits-all that ignores basic human reality. Thank you.